Thanks so much for being a part of our study in Deuteronomy. We're on Rudy's day off, and we do these videos all in 1 week. We have skipped through some passages of Deuteronomy that actually they're interesting, but they're really hard to make interesting on video.
They are.
So
you should read them.
Read them, but we're not going to talk about it. We're in chapter 26. So verse 1, when you've come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance to possess, and you possess it and settle into it, you shall take some of the first of all the fruit of your land, which you harvest from the land that the Lord is giving you. Put it in a basket, go to the place the Lord chose you for a dwelling for his name. Go to the priest who's in office at the time, say to him, today I declare to you, to the Lord your God, that I've come to the land that the Lord swore to our ancestors to give us. When the priest takes it from your hand and sets it down before the altar of the Lord your God, you shall make this response. A wandering Aramean was my ancestor. He went down to Egypt to live there as an alien, few in number, became a great and mighty populace, great nation, mighty and populous. When the Egyptians treated us harshly and afflicted us by imposing hard labor on us, we cried to the Lord, the God of our ancestors. The Lord heard our voice, saw our affliction, our toil, and our oppression. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. So now I bring this first fruit of the ground that you, O Lord, have given me. Rudy, you are especially zeroed in on this passage as a Jewish person, as a follower of Jesus. So I'm going to turn to you and just go for it.
You know, it's just it's another one of the places that the Lord instructed us to kind of pay attention.
Right.
And in paying attention to the very first things that come out of the ground, which would be in the spring of the year, and you know, all of this is an echo of the resurrection, in my opinion. Right. And so looking for first fruits is the first things that come to life after winter. And so as an individual in Israel, you would be watching your fruit trees, the barley, the wheat, and everything that came out first. You would take it into your house and put it in a specific place, and then at the right time, you would take it to Jerusalem and give it to the priest and to tell them that this is our first fruits. But it's more than just giving it to the high priest. We're thinking about, you know, as a Christian, we should be thinking about what we harvest first belongs to the Lord, and it builds a way to think about this and to keep it centered and to keep him centered in your life. And then the proclamation that the Israelites were to give is a recount of their history, that they were nothing before the Lord began to use them as a witness to the world.
Is that sort of a formulaic saying? I mean, I've heard that. Is that something that's said at particular festivals or times, or is that part of the Jewish culture?
You know, in my sense, it seems to me that this happens at first fruits, but I believe that you would also say this at the harvest festival in the end of the year as well.
Okay.
But there's a first fruits that happens the day after the Sabbath within the unleavened bread.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pentecost has a first fruits sense to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
The repetition of this, everything that you ever got was a present from the Lord, and it really should be treated that way.
Yeah. So I particularly am drawn to this passage because it reminds us that everything we have is a gift.
Exactly.
You know, there's nothing in my life that is not a gift from God. And I can go back to, and people don't have sometimes trouble believing this, but I lived through it. I was a loser until I met Jesus. I mean, I was a mess. I was lost. I didn't know where I was going. And everything that I have that I can look at of any success in my life for the last 50 plus years is a gift from God. It is His. And so it's not hard for me to want to be generous with what God's given me, because it's been His. It's not, you know, it's not mine.
Right, and you know, one time, you know, more than one time we've talked about this over coffee. Is like, you know, sometimes you know, you give, or you're told to give something, and it seems maybe a little bit more, or it seems a little bit bigger than it should be, but in 6 months, you don't even remember it.
Exactly.
And there's a reason for that.
That's right. So anyway, I like this passage. I like the idea that everything comes from God. A couple of days ago, we talked about how they were going to fight their battles with a limited number of soldiers. And in my article that I write on Real Voices
This morning,
yeah, I talked about how Gideon, you know, he sent 22,000 home, and then another group home, and they fought a big army with only 300 people. Why? Because God wanted to say, I'm the victor. I'm the one that wins. He's won in our lives, and we need to recognize, tangibly recognize, He is one.
yeah, and to remember where we came from, and
Right.
That's really what this proclamation is all about.
You got it. You got it. Well, God bless you. Thank you for listening. Between videos, we're going to try to kill a fly. Thank you, Rudy.